All right, and welcome to the first episode of Smiths Grove's Sanitarium podcast. I'm John, aka Movie Junkie John. I'm here with
And
Josh,
I'm Josh. And I've got a YouTube channel, That Horror Critic.
and this podcast I think we first met at what was it?
The
Fright Night
Friday
Film
Night Film
Fest.
Fest. Yeah.
So we're members of the Dead Pit community and wanted to start a podcast and kind of go over retrospectives, deep dives on lists for horror movies, deep dives on individual horror movies, and kind of just discuss a lot of really in-depth things on the horror genre. That was kind of what started this.
Right.
So
Just kind of talk about things that we love and, have a passion for, kind of get our ideas out there and, discuss it with members of the community, get our opinions out there. So,
awesome. Yeah, and before we start our first episode, so what's going on lately in the horror community? What have you seen?
oh, well, not a lot. I saw that Megan movie that's out. I haven't seen it. I saw it's out, but I've seen people talking about it. Some people say it's okay. Some people don't like it. I don't really know. I mean, I like James Wan quite a bit, so I'm interested in it, but haven't
Yeah,
gotten out and seen it yet. Have you seen it?
yeah. Megan is. I liked it a lot. I found it online the other night. I really did not want to like it. Thought it was going to be stupid, but it's kind of. It's probably the best spiritual successor to Child's Play that I've seen.
Is it? I heard some people say it was like the 2019 Child's Play movie. Is that fair comparison?
It's similar, but it definitely quality wise, I would say it's more in line with the original Tom Holland movie because it's actually really well made. Like the effects are good in it, the kills are good, the acting's good. It's one of those movies that the trailers really do it a disservice because the trailers make you. I mean, the trailers just make it seem so stupid when you watch the
Right,
trailers.
right.
But when you watch the movie, it's actually pretty good.
Did you see Malignant, his last one?
Yeah, I
Did you
did.
what do you think? Which one's better?
I would say as a movie, straightforward, Megan is better.
Megan?
It's just a straightforward like logical movie that doesn't
Uh-huh.
have many like you watch it and you're like okay there's nothing in it that's too ridiculous aside from the
Right.
fact of a killer robot
Right.
doll. But Malignant, I like Malignant. I just think Malignant is kind of like an Argento movie in a way. It's
Right.
good. I like it, but there's a whole lot of just really what the hell moments in it that just don't make any sense. So
Dang, I need to go out and see Megan then. I was waiting on that, but thought it looked interesting, but I don't know. But now that you said that, that was pretty good. I need to see that because I do like some James Wan's movies. I think he's pretty good. I think at some point we should talk about Saw because I think a lot of people don't like that movie, but I do. So
yeah, the first one, I really think the first one's a classic. I think the sequels are whatever, but the first one you can't beat it. You know?
right, yeah, and they're making another one of those. I'm not even sure when it comes
Really?
out, but it's Saw 10.
Oh gosh,
Yeah, I
wow.
don't know. Did you see that the Spiral movie?
No, I didn't. I heard about it. I never watched it.
Oh man, it was not very good. I actually preferred the one that came before a Jigsaw, and I didn't even really like that one that much.
Yeah, I think the last Saw movie I saw was like three or four. I kind
Oh
of stopped.
really?
I just
Well,
stopped
some
after a
of
while.
I will say some of them in there aren't bad. Like Saw 5, that one's surprisingly pretty good. I think. I know some people just crap on all the Saw movies after the second one, but I think that one's actually pretty good. 3 and 4, I can see why you stopped at those. Those are pretty bad.
Yeah, the one where it's the cop.
Yeah,
It's
that
like
one to me, that one is the worst one. So I can see
yeah,
why you'd be like, yeah, I don't want to watch any more of these because that to me, it don't really get much worse than that one.
yeah. That is an interesting franchise because I think a lot of people now look at it, they just cringe at it. But really, that first movie is, I mean, it's a
Yeah, it's like
class.
it's a
Yeah,
really well made movie, and it's a movie that's like a lot of like other original horror movies that people love. It was made on a small budget, and it
Mm-hmm.
really, for the most part, just takes place in like one room. So
Yeah, there's a lot of times like you were just talking. We were talking about Child's Play. It's the same kind of deal, though. I mean, that first movie is. I mean, it's great. I love Child's Play 1. I just after that, it just is kind of a. You really got to be a fan of Chucky to love those
yeah,
sequels, you know.
yeah, we'll have to talk about those at some point. Those are that's an interesting series of movies. And before we do that, I'll have to watch that show first.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't seen it either. I haven't seen the new
I saw
Chucky
some
show.
of the first season and I thought it was all right, but then I heard some people say like halfway through it just goes like full like Seed of Chucky, and I'm like, oh, I don't
Oh
know.
no!
Yeah, yeah. Because like
Wow.
the first half was like kind of small scale stuff, like it was interesting, but then apparently the second half goes like out like crazy,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what he did with whenever he made Curse of Chucky. It was like smaller, and then he made Cult of Chucky, and he just went off the rails again. Like what?
Right.
Those movies are. That guy's got a very creative mind. I'll say that.
Oh yeah. So we were talking. What'd you think of the Scream 6 trailer?
Um, I don't know. Parts of it like irk to me. Like I hate whenever I'm trying to. I think it was Gail. That's like we haven't seen a ghost face like this before or something. And he's like, I'm something different. And in the
Right.
Scream 5 trailer, he's like, I'm, different or something like that. Almost the
Yeah.
exact same line. I'm like, what the heck? I'm just thinking, I'm like, how many times can somebody dress up like the same person and attack like the same group of people? It's like tired.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God. And I'm all for sequels and stuff, but it's like, and I don't know, maybe based on the trailer, they're going to get rid of Courtney Cox. I don't know. I kind of hope so. I know, you know,
Mm.
I don't know. And I mean, is Nev Campbell going to be in it? I don't know. I mean,
So I know what's weird about this is I watched the trailer. I know a little bit about what's happening with those movies. Not I can talk about it. It's not really like heavy spoilers, but I know what's kind of been put out there about what's happening with them because apparently there's going to be a 6 and a 7.
uh-huh.
And apparently 6 goes right into 7.
Well, what I would like to see if they've got it planned out, one thing that they haven't done that I think
Yeah.
would be actually cool is
Yeah.
if the killer survives. I think that would be cool into another movie. Like they don't kill the killer at the end.
Yeah. Well, I know you asked about Nev Campbell. That kind of goes into the whole thing with 6 and 7.
Yeah, I feel
And
like, and I don't know. I feel like maybe because I know there was a big thing like a year ago about like, is she going to be in the movie? She
yeah.
wanted more money, and they didn't want to give it to her or whatever. But I feel like that maybe could be like a thing they put on to like, oh, she's actually in the movie, and it's like a big, huge plot twist or something.
Yeah. It's I don't know if the big thing that I read about a year ago that was kind of a rumor going around was that they were eventually going to do one of the ideas that they wanted to do was multiple killers acting completely autonomously.
Oh, okay.
So
So
like
not like
different
working together.
yeah, like two people here, two people here, two people here. And that was kind of an odd idea. I don't know if they're doing that. And then I also heard the rumor, I think everybody's heard the rumor, like the idea that Stu Mocker
Yeah.
is coming back, which I don't know. It's I feel like they throw these things out there because they just want people to
To talk about it.
yeah. So it's so hard to know where it's gonna go. I mean, I think this one is set in New York City, from what I
Yeah.
can tell. So
Yeah, there's I think Matthew Lillard's actually going to be in like a big movie soon. I can't remember what it was though. I need to see what that was. But and it was making me think like would he go into that? Oh, it's that Five Nights at Freddy's. Blumhouse is doing a adaptation of that, and Matthew Lillard's going to be in that. I bet that'll be a pretty big movie because that's like I don't really know anything about that game, but I know it's pretty big.
yeah, that's got to be pretty big for him, especially. It's
Yeah, so
interesting,
I'm like, because he hasn't been in much in like a while that I know of, anyways.
and he's the thing about Scream is it's just they're very good about like just throwing out false things in the news, and there's just no telling what that's gonna really be like until it comes out. I will say though, with Stu, it's like I don't know how they would ever bring him back because I mean they pretty much like they threw a TV on his head,
Yeah,
you
and he got
know.
stabbed a couple times. I mean, and also, I mean, he was like kind of the dumb accomplice, and like I don't really see him being like a mastermind or anything, but
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he is. But I'll say this: like, I didn't love the trailer. I didn't come away from it being like that looks like a great movie. But whenever I watched the trailer for Scream 5, I thought it looked horrible. And I was actually pleasantly surprised whenever I saw it. So I don't know. It could be great. I
Yeah.
saw some people were like, that looks like it could be the best one besides the first. And I'm like, I don't know what they saw in it, but I know they saw like there's a scene where they're like going into like it looks like a museum where he's got like all the past killers like
Yeah.
clothes and stuff like displayed and like different stuff displayed from the past movies. But what I didn't see was Mickey's stuff from Scream 2. That's
Wow.
I love Mickey. He's like
Yeah.
underrated Scream Ghostface, I think.
Yeah. He was great.
He
Tim Lee.
really has no reason to be a killer in that movie,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he's the killer, so it's cool. You know, I think it's because they had to rewrite it because it leaked or whatever. But
Hmm.
he puts on a great performance. I love the guy.
Is that what happened? Because did it leak that
Yeah,
Mrs.
I think
Loomis
it
was
was
the?
originally supposed to be. They said it was supposed to be Sydney's roommate. I can't even remember that girl's name, and her
Yeah.
boyfriend. So
Oh.
that would have been two movies again where her boyfriend was the killer, like back to back.
Oh, Jerry Connolly. That's
Yeah.
funny. I don't
Mhm.
know how he would have done as that. That's kind of.
Yeah, that would have been weird. But then I heard they did that. They leaked that on purpose. But I don't know. I don't. There's like conflicting stories to that. And then some people were like, "Well, it was supposed to be Billy's mother the whole time." But it's like that. She's like hardly in the movie for even to even think that she might be the killer. Like, but at the same time, it's like also kind of obvious though, because like whenever she does pop up, she's like off to the side, like, "Oh, hey!" Like she just randomly bumps into this person. Like, why do they keep showing this random person?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. You don't really the Debbie Salt thing. It's kind of you don't really think about it till the very end, and then you're like you
Yeah, it's like,
said,
oh
you're just
yeah, she
like,
was popping up multiple times.
yeah. I think Scream 2 is pretty underrated movie. Honestly, I like it a lot. I think I'm interested to see where they'll go with it. I know a lot of people are over it, but I mean, anything to me is better than Scream 4. I wasn't a fan of Scream 4, so
Yeah, same. That's my least favorite. Everybody loves Scream 4, and I'm like, why? I don't know why. I don't get it. I've seen it multiple times. I think it's a little too gaggy. I don't know. I just don't like it. I've never liked it.
yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. I thought 5 was pretty good. So,
Hmm.
I'm cool with them rolling with a new cast. That's fine with me. I'm just get rid of
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah, they really should have. I think in the last one, hindsight's 2020, but I feel like they should have killed Sydney and kept Dewey alive.
Yeah, because
I
to be
just,
honest,
but
Sydney, like, what did Sydney even do in the last one? Like, she was just there. I mean, it wasn't even like get rid of her. I don't even understand. Like, I didn't even really want to see her in the movie. I was like, oh, she's here. Crap.
yeah, I know.
Like, oh
Well,
man.
well, since it's the first episode, I figured based on the name Smith's Grove Sanitarium, uh, we decided we were going to do a ranking of the worst to best performances of Michael Myers in the Halloween movies. So there's 12 of these. We're not counting Halloween 3, obviously. So 12 movies, 12 performances as Michael Myers ranked worst to best from myself and Josh.
Right. And this is everything. It includes the mask, it includes how he looks, his coveralls, it includes everything. So like in Halloween H2O, he's got multiple masks. So we could, we're throwing that all into one, but that, plays a factor in it. In Halloween 6, he's played by a couple different people in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So we're taking that in mind too. It's just best to worst Myers, how we think overall in the movie how he is. So
Nice. Let me pop this up. So
all right.
here's the ranking, and I guess if you want to, the way you want to do this is you can go first, and then I'll go, and then you can go, and I'll go, and we'll just go 12-1, worst to best.
Okay, so for my number 12, we'll see how close we get on these. I feel like, we could be close, we could be far away. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've actually got a couple different photos here of one of these. And some of these photos, like here for 2018, his head's cut off for some reason. But that's 2018. And then this one right here and right here is Rob Zombie's Halloween, and these two are Halloween 2. I don't know why they have different photos. But anyways, so for my worst, I have to go with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And the reason that I'm going that for my worst Myers is because I just don't even feel like, I feel like we're so far removed from Michael Myers at that point. I mean, half his face is like exposed the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching the director's cut, he decides to, after all these years, Michael Myers stayed silent. And he decides to say, die! Like, why? Why? That, it's very poetic of Michael to say that. But I don't know, in that movie, and he's got some moments, I guess, where he's like, okay. Like, he's what you would call brutal in this movie. And he lifts a car up and flips it. And he's super strong. But I don't know. I just feel like his attire and everything, it's so far from what I think of Michael Myers. It's not even whenever I think of Michael Myers, this is the furthest in my head.
Yeah, so I totally agree. My number 12 is, in fact, Halloween 2 from 2009. Not a fan of this movie. The speaking, the mask, the hobo Myers. I'm not a Rob Zombie hater. I do like some of his movies, but I just feel like this was Rob Zombie just going full tilt. Hey, I don't care what Weinstein Company, I don't care what Miramax thinks. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Michael Myers gonna talk. He's gonna have a beard. He's gonna look like a hobo.
He kind of looks like Rob Zombie.
Yeah, it's
like a personification of himself.
And there's nothing in this character. I think if you took this movie and it wasn't a Halloween movie, it could be creepy.
Yeah.
But there's nothing about this character that is Michael Myers. There's just not even a resemblance of Michael Myers, and that's why it's so.
And I'm not gonna say this is not my least favorite Halloween movie.
Mm-hmm.
However, this is my least favorite Michael Myers. If we're talking Michael Myers, this is because Halloween 2, if I'm just taking it as face value as a movie, it's not good.
Right.
I think it's better made than some other movies, and it's got some scenes in it, like the scene with Brad Dourif is actually really good. But this Michael Myers is not even Michael Myers.
Yeah, I agree. It's unfortunately, I think it suffers, and it's not fair to compare this because I think Halloween 3 is a better movie, but it suffers the Halloween 3 thing where it's got Halloween in the title and it's got Michael Myers attached to it. And if you just took all that out of it, it could be something interesting. But when you're putting all that lore and what that is into it, it just doesn't work.
I can't. It's hard for me to detach that much. I can do a certain amount, but at that point, it's and the characters a lot of the characters are just in that movie are so bad.
Yes.
But I just can't. They're so unlikable. It's I can't even get into this. But anyways, let's talking about the movie.
No, you're good.
So, okay. Okay, my next pick is, this one was a little tougher for me, but this one, honestly, I almost debated putting this one in last place because I hate this depiction of Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought the hobo look was just so far off base. Everything else in the list at least resembles Michael Myers, I think. So that's the only one that's super far out. He doesn't even look like Michael Myers.
Right.
Everybody else is like a Michael Myers. But for this, I got to go Halloween H2O.
Hmm.
And the reason that I put that there is because I just hate the way the dude looks in the movie. Like, especially like in this picture right here, these like these eyes, how you can see him. He
Yeah.
looks like he's like doofy all the time, like oh, and like he gets his butt kicked. I know it's like Kevin Williamson helped like do some rewrites and stuff, and like helped with it. And this was like the Scream era or whatever. But like,
Hmm.
and he's played by a guy that played Ghostface, Chris Durand. But like,
Yeah.
he's like clumsy and shit. Like she's like knocking him over and stuff. And like I just feel like I can't take him seriously. Like every time if I'm like, if I had to fight a Michael Myers, it would be this one. Like I think I could kick this guy's ass. Like I don't know, all the other ones would kill me, but this one I think I might have a shot. This one, I don't know, he's just like so goofy. And then on top of that, like the other masks, even though this one is like you can see his eyes and shit,
Hmm.
it's still the best out of the ones in the movie. Other than there's one from H6 at the very beginning,
Hmm.
the mask, and that one looks good. But after that, like that one looks horrible. That's the one that was like in the original trailer, and they filmed like half the movie with it. And then they're like, "Oh man, we got to change that. That looks bad." And then of course the CGI mask is just
Ugh.
abominable. It's like horrible. It doesn't get worse than that. So yeah, for me, I know some people wouldn't put him maybe that low on the list, but like I don't know. Like that's a movie that I don't love the movie. I mean, the
Hmm.
movie would be nowhere near this place in the list, but that Michael Myers, he's just like not intimidating at all. I just
Yeah.
not scared of that guy at all.
Interesting. It's so my 11 is not my 11 that is in the list lower. It's not that high. So my 11 is actually Halloween Resurrection. Um it's just I think for this one, I don't hate this movie. Like I can watch it as a gag. It's funny to watch sometimes. I just think the look of this Michael Myers in this movie is so stupid sometimes. Like the whole, and I think a lot of it maybe is I'm mixing up the movie and just the look of the character, like just the whole Buster Rhymes dressing up as him, and
Yeah,
in the beginning where he's chasing Laurie in Smith's Grove, and he's got his hair
he's got
is
a
like an
he's
afro.
got a yes,
I'm
yeah,
like, what the
exactly.
hell? And the eyes, it's something about in this movie. He just looks very like I don't know, like the mask. It's like they made him look like detailed, like he's got muscles in his mask. It's weird.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just this movie is the most. When I watch it, I feel like it's like the laziest portrayal of Myers. Like it's Michael, but it's just so like lazy. It's just kind of like he's slow, he's plotting. Like there's not really. It's like the guy who played him, which is what is it, Brad Laurie.
uh-huh.
It's like he's just sort of just kind of watching the broad strokes of Michael in other movies, and he's like, okay, I can do that. Like he's not really
Right.
bringing much to the table.
I just think
So,
the way he looks, and again, like you said, I like the movie pretty good,
mhm.
but like the movie is ridiculous, and like putting him in
Yeah,
there, and then the mask on top of that looks crazy. So
hmm
it just doesn't work. And I mean, even if like you throw Michael from like Halloween 1 in there, I mean, I don't know if that fixes a lot.
right,
I mean,
exactly.
it's just a combination of everything really that kind of hurts that one.
Yeah, it's hard when you're going this high up because so many of these could be the worst, but I really had to go through. So yeah, what's your 10?
I also have to go Halloween Resurrection, and honestly, I don't think Brad Laurie does like a terrible job as Michael Myers. I like some of it. Like I like how he like that after he kills that guy at the beginning, or well, no, it doesn't kill him. That guy gives him the knife or
Oh
whatever
yeah,
at the beginning. He's like walking down the hallway, like I think like, and then like whenever he kills that girl down in the tunnel or whatever, and like stabs her on that fence or whatever.
hmm
Like I think he does okay in some of those scenes, and I think he tries, and like he kills that one dude, like pins him up against the wall. I think he tries to do a good job, but the movie's so ridiculous, and the costume, whenever they put Buster Rhymes in it, it just like any chance it had to be scary was just lost whenever you had a dude talking out of it and saying stuff like that. It's
Right.
like, okay, now I can't. Now I definitely can't take this serious. And he just lets him. What? He just lets
Yeah.
him say all that to his face and just walk away. Like, really? Like,
Yeah. Very
okay,
un-Michael like.
yeah, it. I won't say it's horrible, but I
Mhm.
don't love it. I don't love it. So what do you
Yeah.
got next?
For 10, I don't. The movie I don't think is terrible, but I would go with Halloween 2007, the Rob Zombie one. I just don't. I just think everything about this Michael, even in the beginning, was not right. I think Michael, the way they portrayed him, the idea of explaining him as like a white trash kid, the whole, and even when he gets older, when it kind of cuts to the whole remake where it's literally him stalking Lori and her friends, it's like even the way he's stalking is so weird. Like when you're watching the movie, he's just kind of lumbering
Yeah,
about.
he's just
He's
there in broad
yeah,
daylight. He's not even like hiding or nothing. He's just like standing
no,
there.
there's
And he's
no
not like a
car.
small dude or nothing. There's nobody else walking down the street. It's just him there.
Yeah, and you see him lumbering, you see him, and then like when he kills the parents, he just comes up and just out of nowhere, and it's like
Yeah.
I just feel like the movie, it's the same thing as two. It's like if you take Halloween out of it, it's creepy. If you just make him a guy, it's like yeah, it's a scary story, but it's not Michael Myers. Even the way he like the brutality and the size and the way he moves, it just doesn't it's
Yeah.
just not Michael. It's like it's another character, and that's kind of why it just goes so high up for me.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. I mean, he's a very interesting Michael Myers. I think the mask is okay. I used to
Yeah.
love it. I used to think it was like great. Now after I've looked at it more, it's got like brutish features to it that I don't love. Like it's kind of like it looks mad, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't love the way that looks. But I mean, yeah, he's okay, and that's why I'm gonna also put him next for myself. I
Hmm.
think he's brutal, like you said, but he would fit another movie okay, but Michael Myers, he is not, I don't think. And
No.
I honestly, I think he's cooler before he puts on like the jumpsuit and the mask. Like whenever he's got that like paper mache mask, I think he's a
Yes,
lot cooler.
I agree. Oh, when he's walking around in the paper mache and like the whole Big Joe Grizzly thing in the bathroom, and that was creepy because that was like that to me watching that was like another movie. Like that's
Right.
almost like oh here's a character for another movie. And I just think, like you said, once he gets into that, I got to put the mask on and stalk. It's just kind of like, huh? Because even when you watch it, like you're seeing the scene of them walking, and he's just walking around, and you're thinking, like, you don't notice the 7 foot guy
Yeah.
behind you walking around. Like,
There's
what?
no way. And
Yeah.
like, I gotta say, I prefer the first half of this movie to the second half, even though I don't like
Yeah.
all the crap at the beginning where they're like yelling and screaming at each other and saying fuck like 100,000 times.
Yeah.
But I think it's better than whenever he tries to like directly remake the first movie at the end, and it's like quickly too. It's not even like he does it real fast, and I don't know. I just don't love that part of the movie.
Yeah, he speed runs that. That's true. He goes like, it's like he's got to catch up really fast to get to the ending. And
Have you seen the alternate ending to that movie?
so I'm trying to remember. Is it the one where they shoot him and then there it's kind of sad, like
Yeah,
he's
I actually kind of prefer that ending
yeah
because it's like okay, that makes him like I don't know different. Like it kind of caps the thing where it's like Loomis is like, no, don't shoot him.
right
Whereas in Halloween Kills, Loomis is like, here, let me shoot him myself.
yeah
Like,
right.
okay.
Oh man, so who do you got for number 9?
Well, it's your turn, right? Or for number, wait, which one?
Where are we at 12
12,
10?
11,
Oh
12.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
right, number 9. Let's see, for this one I'm going with Halloween 4, which would be
Whoa.
Tom Morga and George P. Wilbur. George Miller. Definitely not George
That's
Miller.
that's that's an interesting placement for Michael Myers for H4. So what do you got? What puts him so low on your list?
I just don't like the. Well, I don't love this movie. A lot of people love this movie. I feel like it does have some mood to it, but I think that the biggest thing is obviously the mask. And I understand, like, a lot of people have justified it, like, well, Michael picks up a mask at the hardware store, so it's different, right? He puts on a different mask. It's just the mask is weird. I don't really love the portrayal of Myers in the movie. Once again, it's not what I would expect Michael to be in the movie. There's a lot of it. It's just not scary to me. I feel like he's got this look. It's almost like the mask makes him have this like surprised look on his face when he like turns sometimes.
Yeah, they really messed the mask up on this one.
Yeah, and then there's the scene in the school where Loomis is with Jamie, and
Yeah, and then he turns into Ben Tremer.
yeah, it's the pink. Yeah, it's like the
I-
weird looking mask, and I'm like, what?
So apparently, what they did with this movie is they couldn't get the mask because after Halloween 2, Dick Warlock kept the mask that they used. That was the mask. That was also the mask they used in the first movie. Mm-hmm. So he kept that, and they couldn't get it back from him, I guess, for part 4. So they had Don Post make another couple of the William Shatner masks, and they tried to do it themselves, but apparently they screwed it up and put way too much like white on it. So that's why it looks like there's like no detail at all on it. It's like completely like smooth looking. Yeah. Apparently that's why. And then they, of course, they did this lovely thing right here where they advertised this like beautiful mask that they did not use. That they did not use at all. So that was great.
Yeah, it's a huge bait and switch in that movie. I mean, I don't think I don't think the movie is bad. I just don't enjoy it. There's something about it that's just the performance, the mask. It's something, I don't know if maybe it's because it's filmed in Utah. Something about it is just like every time I watch it, it feels like a different Halloween movie, and I'm just like, eh. So it's always lower on my rank with stuff. So
I don't know. I actually personally love the movie.
Yeah, well,
I really do like it. I know I watched that one so much whenever I was younger. I was like hooked on that movie.
Sure,
that was always like one of my go-tos. So I love that movie. So you'll see that one a little later on my rank. But all right. So for my next one, I have to go with Halloween 5. And the reason that I got to put this one here is at this point, I don't think any of the Michael Myers performances are bad. I think they're all acceptable, fine. They're all fine from this point forward. The worst part about this one is the mask. To me, this is like the worst mask. I mean, I don't know what it is. It just looks ridiculous, man. Like he's got like a huge forehead. His hair is slicked back. Like his face is like, it's a huge mask too. It's got like a huge neck. Like it looks so weird. And like the way they made this mask is they took the actor Don Shanks, I think, and they like made like a face cast of his face, and they made the mask off of that. And it's like, why? Why do it? It just looks like his face, and it's weird. And like if you look close up at the mask itself, it has like these like lines up his nose.
Oh yeah,
it's weird looking. Like I don't know, but as far as like him in the movie, I mean, I think he's okay in the movie. I think he's a bigger dude, so he's like threatening and like I don't know. He's okay in the movie. He stalks. He's in the background a lot, and I like that. Like whenever he's in Rachel's closet, and he's like outside the house. He's like in the background. That's cool. But then also another thing in this movie that like downplays Myers a lot is the fact that this idiot keeps dressing up like Michael Myers and coming out and like and like attacking. And it's like, dude, these cops are like pointing guns at you. Like you probably need to stop.
Yeah.
But like that kind of downplays him in this movie, and it's like, I mean, he's threatening. He kills that dude with that like garden utensil,
Mm-hmm.
and that scene where he's attacking Jamie in the chute, definitely the best
Oh
part of the
yeah.
movie. Like that's a cool part. Like he's got cool parts, and I do like the part that's in this photo right here where he's like talking. Dr. Loomis is talking to him.
Oh
They're like
yeah.
standing there, and then you just attacks Dr. Loomis. Like, yeah, I don't know what you thought was gonna happen. You tried to kill him for
Right.
years now, and then like, wait, hold on, hey, can I talk to you for a second? He just throws him. Like, okay, yeah, that was gonna work.
Yeah, that's I'm right there with you. That's my number 8, Halloween 5. I'm like you. It's acceptable. The movie itself is a hot mess. I agree with most people in that sense. It's ridiculous, but there are some generally creepy stuff in the movie, like the laundry chute. The He stalks a lot in the movie. I would say, even though Halloween 4 is a better movie, this movie, Michael, I like the portrayal a little more. The look is weird. I agree, it looks kind of silly, but the portrayal I like more, and it is a scarier movie.
Right.
5 to me.
And then another thing at the beginning of the movie, he takes like a ride on the slip and slide, which is great. He's like
Yeah,
just white water rafting, just riding it out. And
yeah,
then whenever I listen to like interviews with Don Shanks, he's like, if I didn't grab this bridge right here whenever I came to it, was gonna like sweep me off into this river. And I'm like,
oh no,
it didn't look that bad.
yeah, that's the whole.
It did not look like it was that bad, but
Yeah, he seems like a pretty nice guy, Don Shanks. I agree. The look is weird, and there are some things in it that are funny, like when he's, like you were talking about, Loomis is talking to him, and he's kind of like looking.
yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like he's like looking side to side, and then the end is always odd because they capture Michael. And I remember thinking that was so
Oh
weird as a
yeah.
kid because he's like sitting there with his
He's
hands.
like fiddling the chains in the corner. And I've always wondered,
Yeah.
like, why did you keep the mask on him? Why is he
Yeah.
in the corner wearing the mask? You could have like shot it in the corner where you couldn't see his face or something, but instead he's like in the corner twiddling the chains. Like, what? He's
Yeah.
like, well, I guess I'm just gonna sit in this corner now.
So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. The movie is not great, but I do like the performance a little more than 4. It
Yeah,
edges it out just a bit for me. So
I put him up there just because I think he's more intimidating than a lot of the other ones, and for me, that gave him the slight edge over the other ones that I've mentioned so far.
right, exactly.
But okay, so this one is gonna be pretty interesting for my next one here.
Okay.
Let's see, where am I at here? Oh, okay. Whoops. I accidentally labeled that wrong in here. All right. My next one is Michael Myers from Halloween Ends.
Oh wow. Okay.
And the reason that I put him here is I really like the way he looks. I think he looks really cool. Like I
Hmm.
dig the mold look. It's like it's pretty cool looking. But I think anybody that and there's some people that love Halloween Ends, and there's
Hmm.
some people that absolutely hate Halloween Ends. I
Hmm.
went into Halloween Ends initially because I kind of knew a lot about it, and I was like, I'm gonna hate this movie. I'm gonna
Yeah.
because I'm like a Michael Myers diehard. I was like, I'm gonna hate this movie so much. But then before the movie started, I said, okay, I'm gonna go into this like this is Friday the 13th Part 5, and I'm
Sure.
gonna see where I can go. And you know what? I actually came out. I really enjoyed the movie, but I think anybody that really liked the movie can say that Michael Myers is not the best part of the movie. And for me, Corey is the best part of the movie, and all the stuff that deals with Corey is what makes that movie interesting. And I feel like Michael Myers is kind of just tacked on. Like
Yeah.
they had to have the finality of him and Laurie fighting, and like it was kind of anticlimactic. That's the worst part of the movie to me. It's like the end of the movie.
Hmm.
So for me, this Michael Myers falls here just because I feel like he kills Corey. Spoilers, by the way,
Right.
but he gets Corey, and then he goes in there to Laurie, and he's just like there. So he's like, okay, well, like in all 3 of those movies, he didn't want anything to do with Laurie. He didn't try and go after Laurie or nothing. He just happened to be there. He's like, okay, let me get my mask back from Corey. And he's like, oh, great. Now I'm in this lady's house again.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to go
Right.
try and kill her again. And then like she just like throws a fridge on him, and that was all it took. And then like he's like Corey goes down there and like beats his ass. Like I don't know,
Yes.
he's not that intimidating. And then that other dude, Corey, brings that guy down there, and he turns around, and he's like, "Oh crap, Michael Myers is down here," and he like starts to beat him up. He starts to beat Michael Myers up. It's like, okay, all right. In Kills, he's like some unstoppable killing machine, and now all of a sudden, this one, he's like the weakest thing that's ever existed.
Yeah,
So for me, this is where I gotta put him.
yeah, he's definitely lower on the list for me, but I see what you mean. I mean, unfortunately he's definitely way less powered and kind of underwhelming in that finale. It's really not Michael's movie. It's kind of just like you said, tacked in. For me, let's see, number 7. I'm going with Halloween 6, George P. Wilbur. I like this one. I like the movie. I've always liked the movie. It's a fun. Something about it is just like, I don't know if it's like nostalgic or what. I think it's just something about the fact that it's set in the 90s and there's so many things about it that like remind me of like renting movies as a kid that I just like watching it. It's not the best movie, but I do enjoy it. And it's got some fun performances in it. But with Michael Myers in the movie, it creeps me out in the movie. The mask is not great. But there, he definitely has some good jump scares in the movie and some scary scenes. I've always thought even the first scene where he walks up on the nurse and grabs her and puts her head on the spike, that's just, he comes out of nowhere. And the end scene where he's chasing the guy down the hallway and it's like the red light and they're trying to get away. That's scary. I thought that was pretty scary. So
for that scene, I've always wondered, like, why is there a random spike on the wall? Why? Like, what is the purpose of that? Like, it's like,
because it's evil.
Dude. It's just like a corridor with like a blank wall, and there's just a spike sticking out the wall.
Some guy's just like chipping away at it, like, oh, make this sharper.
What is that for? I don't know. I've always wondered that.
Yeah, I mean, it's he's got some cool kills in this movie. But like I think it's I don't know, it's right at middle of the road for me. I think just because it's not the best movie, I like it, but he's got some good kills and there are some genuine points of suspense, like when he walks out of the room and Paul Rudd, Tommy is banging away at the thing.
You know what? That's a weird part too, though, because it's like that's suspenseful, but then Paul Rudd like looks at him and he's like, and then just like starts hitting that thing. Like, why? That was the weirdest reaction in the world.
Right?
Like, what?
He's like in shock or something.
Yeah, like what in the heck? But that one will be a little bit later on my list. I'm a big fan of H6, so
yeah,
I'm a very big fan of that movie.
Yeah, that's been the hardest thing, I think, is just balancing, like you were saying, I'm trying to balance, like, the character versus the movie, because this is probably not necessarily my ranking of the movies.
This is definitely not my ranking of the movies.
Yeah, this is more just the character.
I won't say too much, but I will say, if we're ranking the movies, Rob Zombie's Halloween would not be right here. It would be all the way at the back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that movie. But
yeah, I will say same on that one.
But for me, my next one is going to be Halloween 4. So mine was a few beats above yours. And for me, I like this one. This one's kind of like my middle of the pack. Mm-hmm. I think he's intimidating in this movie. I love the part where he picks up Brady and like tweaks his face. Like that was a pretty cool part. And then he does like the most Michael Myers thing ever. He has a gun in his hand. So he stabs somebody with it instead of shooting it. He stabs them with it.
Pretty creative.
That's very smart, very awesome. I love that part. And then just like I like that part where he does the Cape Fear thing and he like hangs out underneath the truck and then like comes in the back and like throws everybody off. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Like I don't know. I like Myers in this movie. The mask, if it was a different mask, if he looked a little different, oh man, that would have made a world of difference. And the bandage look at the beginning before he gets the mask, that's
Yeah.
really cool looking. Even when he has like the coveralls on and like Loomis shoots at him, it's just him and the bandages and the coveralls. That's pretty cool look too.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, the mask just kind of sucks. But otherwise, and then I guess the other thing is he had like I guess it's well known he had like hockey pads to make him look like bigger. So like half the time he's like his shoulders are like squared and he's like walking around like he can barely move. But I don't know. And then like I like the scene on the rooftop at the Meeker house. That's pretty cool. And he's like
Yeah.
up on the roof. He's like slashing them. But he's like coming up those stairs and she's like, leave us alone. And it's like, what? You think that's gonna?
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, oh, okay, sorry.
He's not going to comply. No.
Yeah. I always love that line. And speaking of this, I have to say this. This is a dumb line in Halloween 4, but every time, and if we talk about Halloween 4 solo, I'll bring this up again because this is one of the stupidest lines ever. He shoots it. He shoots this door to get out, and he comes up and he goes, "Oh, it's metal," and she's like, "What does that mean?"
Yes, I forgot about that.
What do you think it means? It's made of metal.
What does that mean? I forgot all about that. Wow.
Oh my god, that's just the stupidest line in the world. But every time I think of Halloween 4, I think of that line because it's just so dumb.
Yeah, if you take, I will say, the bandage look, if they had the whole movie of him in the bandage and the coveralls, it would go up higher for
It's
me.
crazy too because it's like all you got to do is just change. If you just change the mask, like if you put the H1 mask on this Myers,
Oh,
that
man.
movie is like suddenly like I think I like the movie a lot and a lot of other people do, but I think like it goes up in like everybody's rank if you just change the mask, like it changes the whole movie. I think.
Someone should deep fake that. I've always wondered if they
Oh,
could do
you know
that.
what? That would be interesting. Deep fake a new mask onto Halloween 4.
Yeah.
Wow. That would be pretty awesome. So what do you got for your next one?
So I'm looking at this and I'm second guessing myself on this, but I'm still going to stick with it. So I'm going with H2O.
Well, I was going to say, if you want to make a change, that's fine. I don't care. This
Well,
is not set in stone.
I really love H2O. I love the movie. And I know it's kind of cheesy. It's very late 90s. It's very Scream. It's Kevin Williamson. But I do like the idea of what it was supposed to be. The fact that it was supposed to be the final one. John Carpenter was supposed to do it. I like some of the stuff that he does in the movie, like when he's stalking and steals the car, and like when he comes down out of the thing, and I like, there's things he does in the movie that is interesting to me. I do think the look is is pretty silly, the fact that they couldn't get a consistent look. The scene where he's slashing at them trying to get into the gate and he's looking for the keys, that's kind of a suspenseful scene.
Yeah, I always love that scene. And then he right before that he stabs Josh Hartnett in the knee and he goes like, ah!
Yeah. Yeah, he's very, I think as Michael, he does pretty decent as it. It's Chris Duran. He acts like Michael. And I think the ending, if you just take the movie as what it was supposed to be, you could believe that Michael dies, because especially when he's reaching out for her, you could take that as like he's just waiting to grab her. He's trying to fool her into grabbing him so he can get her, right? So you could, even though that movie was always written to be a setup for the sequel, Resurrection, you can sort of see how they played it out both ways. They could say, well,
like, as a fan, like before you knew Resurrection was a thing, like, because that came out in like 98, so that was like what, 4 years before Resurrection. So like for a while people were like, okay, well that's it. But like, as soon as Jamie Lee signed on for H2O, she had also signed on to be in that.
Right. Yeah, I think the mask is the biggest crime in this movie. The way they do the mask, and it's pretty terrible. Like the CGI, and then the one where he's like, his eyes widen up, and
I don't know. That part to me is like, ugh.
as an ending to the franchise, I mean, like,
But it's got
it's
some cool
bold.
scenes. It does, and yeah, like you were saying, I do like that scene where he's slicing at them, and I like the scene where he's like flipping the tables too. That's a cool scene.
Yeah. So
It's very cool.
it's not a top five, but it's I think it's right above the top five. But I think I'm probably a little more forgiving just because I enjoy the movie.
Uh huh.
I think if I didn't enjoy the movie, it'd probably be a lot lower of a ranking for him for this.
Right.
So
So now we're kind of getting into like the nitty gritty. Like we got some interesting ones left. Like all these are great. I wouldn't
yeah,
say any of these are bad. That
yeah.
remains. Um, so for my next one, I have to go with the 2018 Michael Myers. And the reason I'm putting him here is I like him. I think he's cool. Uh, I think he's better than the one in Ends because he's not like a complete pushover. I do think I like the way he looks a little more in Ends. Like I like the weathered look on him and the mold and stuff. But I think overall, as a package, I
Hmm.
like what he does in this movie. I think he's like a good mix of like he's very intimidating and he's very, he has like some real violent scenes, like whenever he attacks them at the gas station. Like he's very like he like drops the teeth in that stall and stuff. Like he's
Right.
very, I would say he's a little more violent than he was in some of the prior movies.
Yeah.
And like the way he kills people too, it's like kind of brutal, but at the same time he's still got that same kind of, I feel like he's got that early Halloween feel too as well. So, and
Hmm.
like the mask again, I don't like it as much as Ends, and then obviously I haven't said Kills yet, but like he's a nice middle ground. He's perfectly good for the movie he's in. I think he suits the movie very well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it's a little lower for me, but I totally agree with all of that. I think he's kind of a nice he's a nice throwback to the original, but he's starting to introduce a little more of that brutality that he really gets into with kills. So,
So, what's your next one?
five for me is Halloween Ends. I where I stand with the movie is I like it. I don't love it. It's not fair to say I love it. I do like it, and I like what they tried to do. There were certain scenes in it that I really enjoyed. The music I love. I like the way it's shot. The deleted scenes for Halloween Ends are actually pretty interesting. Some of them are pretty cool, especially when he first finds Michael. It's a little better the way they
Yeah,
did it.
it's interesting though. Like in that scene, I like that deleted scene, but it's weirdly edited. Like he
Yeah,
attacks Corey and he like hits him on the ground and it goes in like slow mo. And he like, it's like okay, that's a little weird. But like they edited it different. Yeah, I agree. I like that too because instead of like him just like grabbing Corey by the throat, he like attacks Corey and Corey's like help help. He's like trying to get out of there and stuff.
yeah,
It's interesting. I like that deleted scene too.
yeah.
So
I think this one it's right at the top of the top five just because he's still Michael. Like his mannerisms are Michael. The way he sits up, he's Michael. The way he's sneaky, even when he kills that girl in the house,
mhm.
he's still Michael. Even at the end, where that even though he's not in it much, he comes in the house like a thief in the night. Lori like detects him and knows he's there because that was kind of the funniest thing about that movie was like she gets Corey and she's sitting down and then she kind of looks over and she's like oh and like she knows like she sees that door's up she's like that's Michael like she immediately knows that's gotta be who that is
I
because
just
it's
hate
like
that. Like, why get rid of the Halloween 2 thing whenever you're going to try so hard to get them together in all of these movies? It's
yeah
like, I mean, it wasn't really that big of a deal. I mean, I don't think so. Because, I mean, they, if they were going to go with them not being siblings, then really she didn't really need to be in the movie. I mean,
yeah I
I
mean
mean,
yeah and if you add two back in and I think Garrett Born to Be Rad he said this before it's like if you add that in it does make more sense for the idea of the town being so scared of him
yeah,
because it's a
yeah.
bigger kill count and
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean,
but
he like burned alive, and then however they would have done it, he still survived.
I think
So
they just didn't want to explain the burn thing. I think they didn't think that would be It's funny it wouldn't be practical, but yet I mean they still like throw the fucking kitchen sink at him in these movies. But yeah, I mean I think that I do like it. There are things I don't like about it with him. Like I don't like it's like when he's killing the cop and he starts to like hulk up. It's kind of cheesy. It's kind of like what? Like he's getting his power back. And the ending, the one thing I do really like though was when she's killing him at the very end of the movie. Spoilers, but when she's killing Michael and he grabs up and grabs her by the throat, it's like he's going for that last kill. He's so desperate to kill somebody that he will kill himself just to get to her. And I did like that because I thought that was like that's Michael. Like he's just like an animal, like the way he reacts. So I thought that it still is in line with Michael for the most part, but I do agree there are problems like some of the silly stuff like him hulking up and like when Corey beats him up in the cave, it's kind of like I don't think Corey's gonna beat up Michael, but I don't know. It's I enjoy it overall. I think it's consistent with Michael Myers. I just think it's kind of a weakened, very weakened Michael Myers. So he's kind of going out with a whimper. So
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially after the showing that he had in the movie before that. It's like kind of a little weak to me. But I love the way he looks. I think he looks really cool, and
yeah,
he's definitely got some cool scenes, like you said. Whenever he goes into that into the doctor's house and he stabs the nurse on the wall, that's a
yeah,
very cool scene. I like that scene.
yeah, definitely. So who's your what's your number four?
Okay, so my number four for me is the let's see. Yeah. The Halloween Kills Michael Myers. And the reason that I put him, this is the highest of the David Gordon Green trilogy to me. I
Mm-hmm.
think Michael Myers in this movie, it's kind of like the opposite of ends for me. Michael Myers is the best part of Halloween Kills.
Mm-hmm.
He Halloween Kills has kind of like a weak story, but a great Michael Myers.
Yeah.
I really like Michael Myers. He's brutal in the movie. He's badass. He's got great kills. He's got
Mm-hmm.
really violent kills. He's really cool. I love the scene at the beginning when he kills all the firefighters. That's really cool. I like whenever that one firefighter falls down here and he's like, "There's somebody down here." Like
Yeah.
that's a really cool scene. And then I like whenever he's like going in the house. He's just like going after he escapes there. He's just going like house to house killing people. I like that because that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot kind of like the first movie, just like going places. I thought that was really cool. And he kills. I like how he like stabs that dude in the back like 10 times with different knives and stuff. Like he's doing different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't know, he's just really cool in this movie. He's like unstoppable. He's a murdering machine. Like if I earlier I said if there was a Michael Myers that I would fight, it would be part 7. If there was one that I would not fight, it would be this
Oh,
one. This one would kick like I think this one could like take on Jason like for real. Like he
yes.
is like a badass in this movie. Like he took on that entire arm. That's probably the only piece I don't love is at the end of the movie. It's like, he comes out and then he like, oh well, what's gonna happen? And then he gets his ass kicked for a second. Like they just started like beating his ass.
Yeah.
And then he like does like this Matrix thing where he kills everybody in like slow-mo. But other than
Yeah.
that, he's pretty awesome. I like him a lot. I think he's very, very cool. So,
Yeah.
what is your next one?
I definitely agree. That one's a little higher for me, but I'm definitely agreeing with that as far as his portrayal in that one. He's brutal. For four, Halloween 2018 is what I went with because to me this is kind of like the Force Awakens of the Halloween movies. It's kind of like it's not it's a good movie. It's not great, but it's like it does just enough to kind of pay homage to the originals and kind of keep it going forward. I think Michael in this movie definitely acts like Michael. He's creepy even from the beginning, the way he just kind of reacts to things. He doesn't talk. His he stalks. He's very like playful. He like him hiding in the closet when Julian sees him and the babysitter opens and he comes at her and like him sticking the boyfriend on the wall and the cops, carved. Well, I still to this day, I don't know how he carved such an elaborate thing into the cop's face, but
I
um,
have no idea how he did that in that amount of time, but I do
yeah.
like the nod to him being creative with his kills. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and I think he acts like Michael in this movie, just especially when he gets to Laurie's house because he stalks and he hides from her, and she has to find him in the room, and he's hiding with the mannequins. And um, I always loved how in this movie he doesn't he doesn't know that it's her until he sees her through that door that clicks with him. I don't think he knows. I think he just thinks he's at a house. And then when she looks out that door and he sees her, it's like, "Oh god, that's that girl from like 40 years ago." It's like it clicks in his head. And I just love his portrayal. Like even when they get him down in the basement and they latch him in and they start the fire and he's like trying to grab up, and like it's got my favorite shot of the whole franchise when that flames are going and he's just sitting there and the flames are like coming through.
And
That
he's
is like,
staring at him. That is an
yes,
awesome scene.
that's like the most Michael Myers thing I can ever think of, to just not give a fuck. You're just like, okay. Like so I think for me it's definitely top four. I think like I said, the movie is, it's not really scary per se. It's more like a suspense thriller, really. It's not really even horror. I mean, it is horror, but it's not super scary. I remember taking my wife to see it, and she was like, "Oh, that's fine," like, because she's not really into horror movies, and so I think that's where it's not top three, but it's definitely, like I said, four. I'm comfortable at being there, and I think it was a good way to reintroduce Michael back after so long. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's definitely a good portrayal of Michael Myers. I don't think anybody would deny that. I think it's very interesting. But for my last few, I'm gonna grab a prop for these. I'll be right back.
yeah, sure.
For my next one, in my top three,
Mm-hmm.
I left Halloween 6 for my top three.
Nice.
And I know that's probably not in a lot of people's top three, which I have the Trick or Treat Studios
Nice.
uh, Halloween 6 mask.
Very cool.
Do you have any of the Michael Myers masks?
I don't have any right now. I need to get some. I have none.
I got this one. I think it looks pretty close to the movie. Like it's a pretty good sculpt. It's not bad, and I like a lot of the Trick or Treat Studios. They make pretty good mass produced replicas of these.
Yeah.
But like that's part of it that I really like for H6.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the mask for H6. I think it's a really good mask. And I think, especially in this part of the movie, at the end of the movie, for the reshoot scenes for the theatrical cut, Michael Myers is played by a Michael Lerner, and he's a lot more threatening, I think, at the end of the movie
Yeah.
than when he's played by George Wilbur, because George Wilbur looks like he's got a few pounds added on at the beginning of the movie. Like there's a scene where you can like see him going down some steps at the beginning of the movie, and he looks like he's packing a little bit of a gut in that. So, but at the end of the movie, he looks really cool. And that scene, like you were saying, where he's chasing them down that corridor,
Yeah.
that's a really cool scene. He looks cool. I think this Michael Myers is awesome. I think he's really cool. And I really like H6. I don't know why. I think kind of like you said, it's like a 90s. It was one of the first ones I saw.
Yeah.
I remember that poster like so vividly in my head everywhere. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love that poster. I'm a huge fan of that movie. I don't know. I love the movie. So that Michael Myers for me, he's just like, he fits that movie so good. And I think he's like creepy. And I think that mask is actually pretty legit. I like the mask.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of good things about that performance. That's a good point. It is two actors. And now that you say that, I didn't think about that being, two kind of split performances like that.
Yeah, and he's an interesting. I think the other guy plays a better Michael Myers. I guess is my point on that. Like George Wilbur's fine, but that other guy I think is like he's legit in that movie, and like I think he plays a really good Michael Myers. And then I also had this mask I was going to show. I should have showed it a little earlier, but it's the H4 one, which I think
Nice.
this one is actually like a pretty legit, like, it looks really good, like straight out the box. Like a lot of people do like rehauls on these where they like
Hmm.
repaint them and stuff, but this one is like pretty close to like how it was in the movie,
That
which I
looks
know it
real.
it
Yeah.
wasn't like, it's not a great looking mask, but I went as him one year for Halloween. I don't know. It's pretty cool. I like them. I like that mask. This, I would say, out of the ones you can get off the shelf, this is the closest to the movie.
That looks dead on. That looks pretty
Yeah, and
screen
it's like
accurate.
$60, I think, something like that. I think that's how much like most of the masks are. So for that price, that is a killer mask. Like it looks pretty much just like the movie.
Right. Oh, definitely.
So what do you
Um,
got?
for three, I'm going with Halloween Kills, James Hugh Courtney, aka Jason Voorhees.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
I love this. I love. I'm with you. The plot of this movie is silly. The writing is the worst thing in this movie. The writing is just so silly. But I do think this movie is going, and I think even like someone said this already, but I don't know if it was CK or Uncle Bill from Dead Pit, but someone said I think this movie could be a cult classic years later because I think it's shot extremely well. The music's good. It's got a good atmosphere to it. It's fast. It doesn't move slow. The kills are really good. So it's kind of one of those movies that I could see kind of picking up as like a cult classic. And I mean, Michael in it is just he's not I mean, he does stalk, but he's just so like great with the kills. I mean, that whole sequence in the playground where he stalks everybody at the car, that is amazing start to finish.
right.
Like that whole fucking thing is great, man. And like even the end where like you said, he lets the gang of people beat him down, but then he just comes back and Matrix style kills all of them.
You know, yeah, and I mean, honestly, if you deleted that scene with the other guy, that
Mm-hmm.
they like have that whole thing about like the gang brutality or whatever,
Oh,
that
the
mindset, the
Mr.
other guy that
Fratelli.
escaped, yeah, if you
Yeah,
got rid of that, that would help the movie a lot. I think. I just don't feel like that was. I feel like that was a some kind of dialogue they were trying to add to that movie that wasn't really necessary. I didn't think.
yeah. Mr. Tivoli. Mr.
Yeah,
Tivoli.
and I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
I don't know. Like it was like, you know, and everybody's like thinking he's Michael Myers. Like there he is, and it's like,
Yeah,
dude, no.
no!
Like they showed his picture on screen, but they didn't show us, but they showed it
Right.
to everybody. So like everybody would know that he's not like some big dude. Like you know, that's a bigger than average dude. Like he
Yeah.
looks like the Penguin from like Batman Returns or something. Like he does not look like Michael Myers.
No, it's like Danny DeVito. There's no way
I
that's
mean,
Michael. It's Michael in
oh
that though,
man.
he's very brutal. I mean, I do think it's more of like Jason or like he's just very like I don't know, he's brutal in the movie. It's a little bit of shade of Rambo even. He's just like he's not really the typical menacing stalking Michael maybe, but I do just think the kills and the look and the way he is in that movie, it's his movie and for me, that's kind of why it goes into the top three. It's not the best, but I definitely of those new movies, that's the one that sticks out to me with him. So
Yeah, me too. And you know, it's arguably I think it's probably my least favorite of the three movies.
hmm
But I think that's the best Michael Myers in it. So it's like each movie has its own thing that's good. I think 2018 is probably the most well-rounded of the three.
yes,
But Halloween Kills, I mean, it's got a great Michael Myers. So I think for the last two, what we can do is just because we kind of know, like, you know, once we pick one, we know what the other one is. So we can just
hmm
pick both at the same time.
yeah,
So for my number two and one, I am actually going with Halloween 1 as my number two
hmm
and Halloween 2 as my number one. And I know for some people they'll be like, "What? You're picking Halloween 2 over Halloween 1?" I love Halloween 1, Michael Myers, Nick Castle. He's perfect. He's great. Both of them. I mean, you could pick either one over the other. I think they're both fantastic. I know some people don't like Dick Warlock as much. I love Dick Warlock. I think Dick Warlock is the scariest Michael Myers. I love the way he moves. I love the way he looks. He still looks just like Myers from H1, but I think he looks a little rougher. I think he looks
Yeah.
scarier. He's in the dark a lot. I don't know. I just the way he is, I think he's legit scary. And I always thought Halloween 2, I feel like people are sleeping on Halloween 2 now. Like they don't
Yeah.
like it as much as they used to. Halloween 2 to me has always been like a continuation of the first movie. It just feels like more of the first movie to me. I know it's not as good as the first movie, but man, I love it. I love the movie. And Halloween is my favorite movie. But I don't know what it is. I just got to say, Halloween 2, I love that Myers. Hold on one sec.
Yeah.
I actually got a mask from Halloween 2.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Wow. Nice. Wow, that's actually really good, man. Let me put that on the screen here.
Yeah, this is a CGP Warlock Cemetery Gates. They make like custom masks and stuff.
Wow.
But this is he made this for me. It's you can like custom order them from him, but this is specifically like it's got like because Dick Warlock's face is like wider.
Yeah.
So it's got that on it, and then it's got like all the grime and stuff, like where the paint was coming off the mask and stuff. But yeah, this is like a super accurate mask. This is an awesome mask.
Mask
And
killer.
I've always loved the way he looks in H2. I think he is like the coolest in H2. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I've always thought that. I've always thought that's my favorite Michael Myers. He's got that scalpel. He walks at him when he's on fire. He busts through that door. He walks through like a solid glass, like a heavy glass door. He just walks through it like it's not there. Like that's like beyond impossible, but he does it. And then like he walks up to that wooden door and he bangs on it once, and then he just like busts through it like it was like a minor inconvenience. And then of course you got the awesome scene where she shoots him in the eyes and the blood tears come down. And I don't know, he is just like literally amazing in that movie. I think to me he's my favorite. I don't know. I mean, I if anybody picks the original over him, totally get it. I totally understand. Another day maybe I would pick the first one, but I just love Halloween 2, Michael Myers.
I'm in agreement, man. That's mine too. 2, oh sorry, 1 and then 2. 2 is the top. For me, I think that obviously the first, I mean, there's nothing I can say that hasn't been said. It's classic. Nick Castle's great. I think Nick is just more playing. He wasn't a stunt guy, so he's just kind of playing natural. The best thing that Nick does in that movie, in my opinion, like on his own, is the ending when he sits up. That's like the most, like when Jamie, it's the setup where she's sitting there and in the background you can see him sit up and he turns and looks and he slowly like comes up. Like that's probably like the best thing is like a performer that he does in that movie that's iconic.
Yeah,
Everything else is
he's not trying to be anything extra. He's just
yeah.
being natural, like you said. And that scene, whenever I saw that, whenever they put that back out in the theaters in 2012, I think, or 13, whenever that scene played, people actually like screamed, and I was like, "This is amazing! I love this."
Yeah, I think he's I think most of the movie, the brilliance of the rest of the movie is more so the cinematography and John Carpenter's shots, like way he frames stuff. It's not. I mean, Nick does a great job, but like you said, Nick is just playing natural. He's not trying. Now, in the second one, what I liked, and I know that Deborah Hill did not like this. I liked that Dick Warlock made choices because Dick was a stunt guy. He's Kurt Russell's. He was Kurt Russell's stunt guy for many years. So he had experience, like knowing movements, knowing what to do. And I like the robotic slowness. Like, I know Deborah Hill hated that. He talked about in interviews how she was like, "You're walking too slow." But I love that. Like, he's just very slow, methodical. creepy. The mask, the way it weathers out and it's yellow, and just like all the, like I said, the iconic scenes at the end where he's on fire, and like you were talking about, she says Michael, and he stops and leans and then keeps going and shoots him, and
Yeah, and I love the
you
scene.
know,
Like, there's a couple different scenes. Like, whenever she is out in the parking lot and he's walking towards her, like that scene's awesome. And then the scene where he's walking at her and she's trying to get in that elevator, she's waiting for the elevator to open. He's like under all those lights and stuff. That's
yeah,
really awesome. And then the scene where, like, he sticks his hand on Karen's shoulder and she like turns around. She's like, ah, like,
yeah,
that's a great scene. Like, I don't know. It's just, he is so cool in that movie. I don't
oh
know what
yeah.
it is, but that Michael Myers that's top tier for me.
It kind of makes you wonder what it would have been like if he would have done that in the first one. Like if John would have known. Well, I think at the time he probably didn't know Dick, but if he would have known Dick and got him to play him, I wonder how different that would have been. Because I think Nick was fine, but I just think Nick was just kind of like, I don't think he was like instinctively thinking like I have to monitor everything I'm doing. Like he was just
Yeah.
moving.
Well, he
You
just
know?
he was just chilling out on the set, and John's like, "Hey, if you're gonna be here, then hey, why don't you put this on?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "Okay." Whereas, like you said, Dick was, he was already a stuntman. He was somebody that John had worked with, and then to him being Kurt Russell's guy, and yeah, and then he just was in that. And it's like, yeah, what could have been if he had known back then? But at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of I feel like so many people later on who played Michael could not figure out the movements. Like I feel like that's why I like James G. Courtney so much
Hmm.
was because he made some choices, but he also understood that he understood like the smoothness of Michael just kind of being natural and like kind of like stalkerish the way he moves. I feel like everybody else, it's almost like what happened after 2 was a lot of people watched 2 and they thought, okay, we have to do this. But but instead of like watching both of them, they just were like, we have to do this. And I think you're not going to outdo what Dick Warlock did in 2. He did it just perfectly. And I feel like James was like the first guy later on to be like, wait a minute, like this guy, he's like a cat. How does he move? What does he do? Like he kind of thought about it like, how would this guy just like instinctively move around and sneak around in scenarios. And I think that's why people like those new ones. They like Michael in the new ones, I should say.
Yeah, and I would agree
So,
with that. I mean, I think James does a great job. I think he's like, as close as it gets to the originals, I
yeah.
think. And of course, I like the H6 one a lot. But like, I feel like James does a really good job in it. I think he's, he understands the character, like you were saying. He doesn't just like, oh, it's a guy in a suit. He understands that, he moves in a certain way, and he's like kind of methodical how he does it, and he's very smooth, like you said. So I would agree with that.
So how did we line up? Let's see. Some of ours are similar.
Yeah, I would say ours isn't really too far off. And I would say, I was surprised whenever you said that, 2 was your favorite as well. I thought I was going to kind of
Definitely.
come out of left field with that one. But I don't know what it is. For me, 2 is not my favorite movie,
Hmm.
but it is my favorite Michael Myers. And I do love Halloween 2, though. I love the movie a lot. But it's not my favorite of the series. But it is really good, though, I'll say.
Yeah, people sit on it, and I think it's just one of those that I don't know. I hope I'm surprised it doesn't get as much love as it should, because it's the one that feels the most like the first one. So yeah,
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it's really good. I love the credits to it at the beginning. Makes it feel just like the first one with the orange text with the pumpkin.
yeah,
How it takes place on the same night. It's
hmm,
got a lot of the same characters. It's
yeah,
got that same kind of feel to it. I don't know. It's the same magic, is what I would say.
yeah. And so I guess we'll wrap up this one, the first episode. But I think if we ever do a future episode on 2, we could definitely go into the whole the book and the behind the scenes about two and John Carpenter, and there's a lot of there's a lot of confusion and rumors about that movie, and I have my own theories about it too, but we can save that for another episode. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
a very interesting movie, that's for sure.
yeah. So I guess that'll wrap it up for this week, first episode. This will be the first one for Smiths Grove Sanitarium podcast. And yeah, I guess we'll promote this out. And is there anything else you wanted to promote or discuss for this week? Or
Not really. I just want to make sure everybody hits subscribe and definitely checks us out, gives us a thumbs up. If you're interested to see more content from us, and we're definitely going to be talking about some more movies in depth, individual movies. Also have some more tier lists. We can do more tier lists for Freddy, for Jason, for Leatherface, for Chucky. We can do tier lists for the movies, ranking movies, doing all that fun stuff. So, we got plenty of great ideas that we can throw our opinions in the ring on. And then of course, as new content comes out, we can discuss that as well. So
sounds good, man. Well, I'm John, and this is Josh, and we'll talk to you guys later.